presents live in its 27th season, the Professional Bowlers Tour. Today from Peoria, Illinois, it's the $150,000 True Value Open. Here is today's field. In fifth position, Mark Roth, the PBA's all-time career money leader with 33 championships. He'll face Brian Voss, the winner of the PBA National Championship 2 weeks ago in Toledo, the hottest bowler on the tour. In third position, two-time 1987 champion from Centerville, Indiana, Scott Devers. Seated second, he won back-to-back titles last winter, vying for his fourth title today, Randy Pedersen. And our tournament leader finished fourth 2 weeks ago at Toledo. Today, looking for his third championship, Dave Ferraro. That's our field on today's Professional Bowlers Tour. Part of the crowd now has jammed in here at the incredible Landmark Recreation Center for the finals of the $150,000 True Value Open. The winner today, a check of $27,000. This is one of those days where you sort of root for all five because it is the True Value Open. And should we have a perfect 300 game today, what a joy to give one of them $200,000. Well, our first game is about to start. A little reminder before we see that action, Brian Voss and Mark Roth. I want to remind you the wide world follows the grueling sled dog race, the Iditarod, also men's World Cup skiing for the overall title. That's on Wide World today. We're in this friendly city of Peoria. We love it. Love to visit here and at Landmark. It's on the west bank of the Illinois River. Coming in from the Mississippi River is my colleague, Nelson Burton Jr. Bo.
Thank you, Chris. It's a pleasure to be here. And you said it, Chris. It is the strongest field of the year. In the first match, we have the king, Mark Roth, going against this year's top player, Brian Voss. Could be one of the best matches of the year. The winner of that match goes against a little left-hander that everybody has said will fold against one of the top players. I don't believe it. Scott Devers in the number 2 match is going to be very, very tough to beat. The winner of that goes against the most acrobatic player on the Professional Bowlers Tour, the national champion from 1987, Randy Pedersen. But the man who dominated the field, averaged more than 230, is our tournament leader coming back from wrist injury, David Ferraro. Chris, there's a lot of money at stake, not only the $200,000, but a tremendous prize fund. Let's take a look at that money, and we're ready for action.
That we are, $27,000 the winner, 14, 8, 7, and 6. Mark Roth, 33 titles, 100th TV final here on ABC. Shakes hands with the current PBA national champion, Brian Voss, winning it 2 weeks ago in another river city on the Maumee, Toledo. Voss will be shooting first. On the left lane. Booming start, Nelson.
Chris, great shot for Brian Voss, 2 of the really great players in the game. Bowling's all-time league winner coming up. This should be a first match should be a great one.
Here is the legend in bowling. Still only 36 years of age, oldest in the field today. But what a champion, Mark Roth. We're all even after 1 frame. Voss, Roth, followed by Scott Devers, Randy Pedersen, and Dave Ferraro. Here's a replay profile.
Mark Roth with that ever so many step delivery, 6 steps on this particular delivery, that shoulder high backswing, the good wrist action. And he's really improved his knee bend the last year or so. I thought that he would begin to struggle when he's about 34 years old. He worked on his game, and now he looks as sharp as ever.
This year, second in the Showboat, fourth in the AC Delco Classic. Double for Mark Roth, who last won in Buffalo in 1987, looking for his 34th title today.
Here's Roth, the angle he's playing on the lane, the right-hand lane here, lane number 38, is a little bit slicker, doesn't hook quite as much as the left-hand lane. 37, you see Roth right over the second arrow and pops out the 10-pin. Now Brian Voss up, second frame.
29 years old. Sixth leading money winner this year, Brian Voss. Last year that was, with $115,000.
And the way you get that much money is just have an ideal style and a lot of natural ability. Voss, that 4-step delivery, shoulder high arm swing, good knee bend, tremendous extension through with his whole body towards the target, and obviously a very disciplined player on and off the lanes.
Number 2 on the money list this year behind Bob Benoit, 300 shooter on our telecast earlier. Voss with 67,400. Third frame. We're perfect thus far. Voss with 3 in a row. Now Mark Roth with a double-up shooting in the third.
What we've expected all week long is the championship pair is always scored very well here at Landmark Lanes, and both players are perfect after 3 frames.
We asked him about his future goals.
My future goals really, Bo, are just make $100,000 at least every year, and hopefully win maybe 1 or 2 more majors in my career. It's just I bowl well in them. I just haven't had a chance or a good chance to win, and I'd like to have one more shot at maybe a Firestone or a PBA National.
All-time money winner, $1,319,000. On the left lane, ending Roth's streak at 3.
Mark actually got to the top 5 by the misfortune of Kent Wagner, as he needed a strike in the very last shot last night, the 42nd game. He left a solid 10-pin that allowed Roth with a 257 game to sneak by Wagner into the number 5 position. Right now, Roth has a chance for the first spare of the championship round.
Strikes and a spare for Roth, who trails by only 1. Voss and Roth on the championship pair.
37-38 here at Ray Becker's Landmark Lanes 50-lane bowling center. Here's the oil pattern for this week that the pros have applied. There's 22 feet of heavy oil on both lanes just past the arrows. Then it's a little lighter oil down in here where the L is. And then it rolls down to 46 feet. And it's dry on the back ends. 3-pound, 6-ounce pins this week. Ideal scoring conditions, Chris.
3 in a row, 4th frame for Brian Voss. Can you believe the 8-pin? His string ending at 3.
What a tough break.
Oh.
I mean, really a legitimate whack at the $200,000, and watch the action here as the ball enters the 1-3 and just chops the 5-pin straight back off the 8. Tough break for Voss,
wasn't it? Voss, the winner of 5 titles. We asked him if he was thinking about the $200,000 for a perfect game.
Well, I'm certainly thinking about it. The shot was real good early in the mornings. I've also got 4 opponents that I'd like to win, but $200,000 is a lot of money, so it's certainly on my mind.
During the week, 3 300s, 2 by Steve Cook, the left-hander.
And Tony Marisi had the other one. And as what Brian said is the lanes are good early. That means when they're freshly oiled, and that's the way they are right now. Look at this.
Hey! Goodbye, 6 pin. But not until late.
What a break by Voss. Now watch the action of the 2-pin. I believe that's the pin that goes to the sideboard and comes out and knocks the 6-pin out. There they go. The 2-pin goes up there. Here comes. Here comes. Good guess, Bo. Knocks out the 6. A great break for Voss.
Okay, Voss coming back with the strike following his only spare. This is our very first game live. We're at Landmark in Peoria. True Value Open. They continue to go head-to-head and even through 5 frames here in the first match. The winner will meet the 26-year-old left-hander Scott Devers. And then it'll be Randy Pedersen, former national champion, 1987. He's warming up off to our right. If you hear a pin fall, the ones waiting in the wings continue to stay loose. Here's Roth. Roth is 6th on the money list this year, $41,250. Looking for his first win this year. How consistent. That's why he's been great.
I feel that Mark Roth, Chris, is probably bowling's greatest natural talent. He came out here with as much God-given ability as any other player. There's some players that have almost stayed even with him over the years, but they've had to work a lot harder at their games than Roth. Now here's one of those good young players that's contesting, Brian Voss.
Through 6 frames, we are even, level. What a battle between these two. Bob Benoit with the perfect 300 game earlier, 129,000. Then you see Voss in second. As we said, Mark Roth is 6th on that list.
And $100,000 of $129,000 that Bob Benoit has won is courtesy of True Value. The other $27,000 plus was donated to the prize fund by Quaker State.
Okay. So now he's put the pressure back on Mark Roth. We'll see how Mark responds after this.
Looking forward to all those shows, Chris. 1,159 miles through the ice, snow, and the elements of Alaska. That's an exciting race. Now, here's a real close race right now. Mark Roth, 3 strikes, a spare, 2 more strikes. He needs a strike in the 7th to even the match against Brian Voss.
Gets a 10 pin as he did on the left, this time on the right line. The crowd appreciates his efforts.
The style of Mark Roth, driving through, getting a little bit lower to foul than he did in years past. See that pivot step, that right foot, good shot right there. Driving down through the good wrist action right over the second arrow. Roth's momentum of the lift, pulling him off balance, solid 10. And one of the things that's made him such a great player is his spare shooting ability. Watch this, just straight at the spare. Something that we talk about in the tip is coming up.
And while he was warming up, practicing, he practiced that shot. So that's a pretty good little tip, isn't it, Bo, for league bowlers and those that bowl not quite as often?
Excellent, Chris. As you say, many league bowlers also get 4 or 5 minutes to warm up if possible, and throw some strike balls to warm up, but also shoot the corner spares. Good way to warm up for league. Now, Roth trails by 11, 8th frame.
Bo's tip this week has to do with the grip and how it can improve your game.
And watch Roth's grip there, right? You're right, Chris.
Oh, yes. Had a slight wrist pull, he said, on Thursday this week. That's why he has the elastic bandage around the wrist and part of the forearm.
Good protection. He's skipped a couple of tournaments this year because of that wrist ailment, and he's doing the smart thing, not bowling too much. Now Voss leads by 11, has 3 strikes in a row, can extend his lead to 21 over Roth with 1 more strike.
8th frame. Now he knows what it was like with a 10 pin on the right lane. Brian Voss is going right down to the wire in this first match.
Just as we expected, 2 of the best in the sport. Roth already proven himself. Voss becoming better and better each year. The current national championship was won by him just 2 weeks ago in Toledo.
Last year, Brian Voss won the Southern California Open and the great Quaker State in Grand Prairie. His other titles in Detroit, Houston, and of course 2 weeks ago in Toledo for his first major. 29. Ladies love him.
And his banker loves him. A lot of money in the Voss treasury. In the month of March, he's made close to $100,000. Voss going at a 238 pace, Roth at a 228 pace. 2 frames left.
Recreation strike. Voss from Tacoma, Washington. Very pretty area. Snow-capped mountains.
He likes that one. A little delay here while Mark Roth rubs a little rosin on that hand, dries that ball off. One of the pins in the left-hand lane. I guess Roth hit him so hard, Voss hit him so hard last time that they came tumbling down. Now Roth is ready. Here's how he got to the top 5. Made a tremendous charge in the last 8 games, moving from 17th to 5th spot. Needs a strike here to even the match off against Brian Voss.
Here it is. A 4-pin coming up just a little higher than he wanted to, and that look of disappointment.
As you said, Chris, the ball just drifting a little bit high. Roth wants the 2 to take out the 4-pin, not to be, and that was a critical shot. He knows how well Brian Voss is bowling, and now the match can come down to a possible tie at 238 if Roth can convert this spare.
Remember, this is live coverage of the True Value Open from Landmark Recreation Center. Health clubs, restaurant, motion picture house, a little of everything here.
One of the most enjoyable stops on the Professional Bowlers Tour. And the last tie we had in the championship round on ABC TV occurred right here at Landmark Lanes last year, where Pete McCordick was in a tie match against Parker Bone. Now we have a possibility of a tie this match at 238. Let's see what Roth can do. 10th frame.
Here's a man that has 33 titles, finished second 28 times, third 30 times. The list goes on and on of his accomplishments.
We talk about the pro move on bowling. Roth puts it on the ball with his wrist action. The 6-pin just jumps right out of the channel, takes out the 10, and that's what it takes to be one of the greatest of all time. Now he needs a strike to even the match.
It's incredible. The precision, athletic ability, and don't forget, they have athletic ability, a lot of it.
A professional bowler simply has to be a long-distance runner all week long. 42 games, 56 games some weeks. The old U.S. Open used to be 100 games. Right now they have to be a short-distance sprinter. Right now Roth needs this strike to set up a possible tie match in a sudden death roll-off. Needs this for 238.
So it's a big 237 for Mark Roth. Single pin.
Well, Roth knew that he needed that strike, that last strike in the 12th frame, to make Brian Voss strike on this ball to win. Now what Voss can do is get a spare strike and win, or a strike on the first shot for the win. If Voss gets spare 9, we have a tie.
A 7-pin on the right lane for Brian Voss.
And that really sets up the possibility of a tie match. Brian Voss with a spare and a strike would have 238, with a spare and 9, 237. And spare and less than 9, he would sit on the bench for the remainder of the day. But he must make this 7-pin.
Ooh, just got it. Brian Voss. Mark Roth, his opponent, had a big frustration earlier this year when he finished second in the Quaker State Open. Finished second, listen to this, 300 to 255. Roth with the 255, Benoit with the perfect game.
All right, Brian Voss. The graphic tells a story. Strike to win, 9 a tie. Anything less, he loses.
What a shot. He wins it by 1 pin. Brian Voss advances against the left-hander, Scott Devers. Another disappointment for Mark Roth. We'll be back. The Professional Bowlers Tour is brought to you by True Value Hardware Stores. Bowler with 8 strikes now against lefty 26-year-old Scott Devers of Centerville, Indiana. Game 2.
Well, Chris, when I walked into Landmark Lanes yesterday afternoon, everybody said Scott Devers will make the top 5 and he will just melt under the pressure of these top players such as Voss and Roth, this being Voss this time. I says, watch out for Scott Devers. He is a monster on the lanes. He's unassuming off the lanes, but he's tough on the lanes. Now let's see if Voss can handle him. Righty against lefty.
Voss was happy with the 6-pin. Could have been an awesome split. It's our second game in the True Value Open. 9th True Value, 7th here at Landmark Lanes. Okay, spare for the first game winner, 238 to 237, Brian Voss. Here he is. He's 5'11", weighs 145 pounds. First television appearance this year, 5th in his brief career, 2 titles. Made that look easy, Nelson.
Well, he may also make Brian Voss fall asleep out there. Scott Devers is just sneaks up on you with his ability. Look at, he looks almost like an amateur bowler. Pushes that ball out very simply. Simple game. As his roommate Hugh Miller says, he's Earl Anthony with ball speed. Keeps it in play, deadly accurate, tremendous under pressure. So watch this young man. He was one of my picks at the beginning of the year. Had a little problems getting started, but he's right there this week.
Leaving a 10-pin. Kind of a light-sounding hit, wasn't it?
Has a soft roll. He keeps the ball in play, depends on accuracy, much like Walter Ray Williams Jr., who has always done well in this tournament. Scott drifts a little bit high on the left-hand lane. It hooks 3 boards more than the right-hand lane. The players have all atoned to that before we start the championship round. Now, Devers for the 10-pin.
When he won his second tournament, the Kodak Invitational, he defeated Mark Roth, so he knows about defeating top-notch competition. And here he is against current PBA national champion Brian Voss.
Bachelor Brian Voss spreads those fingers on that grip. Good concentration, 4-step delivery. Like to get right back in the pocket.
It's one of the great sounds in all of sports, but a perfect pocket hit clears out those 10 bowling pins.
Ooh. A guy with Brian Voss's not only ability, but demeanor off and on the lanes, bowls well everywhere. I took him on an 18-city tour with me 2 years ago through Florida. He bowled well everywhere. You could take league conditions, house conditions, pro conditions. Brian Voss's beautiful style will accommodate almost anything they could put up.
Leaving the 3-6 on the left lane. This is our 11th tournament in a series winter tour of 16. As we said, he won in Toledo, so he could today, if he can go all the way, become the first double winner of the year. 10 different winners thus far. All right. Now we get another look at the 26-year-old from Centerville, Scott Devers.
Centerville from your home state, 60 miles east of Indianapolis, if you're ever along Interstate 70, right near the Ohio border.
There you go, Bo. Good geography lesson.
Well,
I
just asked Scott.
Ooh, that one crossed over and it left the 4-7. Is that a tough spare for a left-hander?
Well, you have to watch the 4-7 and make sure you don't chop it off. But with Devers, a good spare shooter depends on controlling that ball in the 1-2 pocket. And he's been off 2 of the 3 shots so far in this championship match. But a player of his quality should make this almost every time. Little bitty chop.
Oh.
Here's Devers, who depends on spares, going across lane for the 4-7 split. Has the ball hook a little bit as it goes in the left-hand corner. Plucks the 4 right off the 7, and now he trails Voss by 13.
Joined the tour when he was 21 years of age. Sold shares in himself. Oh, tough break.
Can't seem to get untracked. Chris, that's a good way to get on the tour. Is a lot of young men, and some of the Ask Bo questions we get are how do you get on the Professional Bowlers Tour, and just go around to various investors as you see Devers' ball coming in light, breaking up the 5-10 split, leaving a very simple 5-pin. I guarantee you'll make this. Going back that sponsorship, sell shares in yourself. What Scott did, sold 7,000 in shares and then bought the shareholders out.
Raised $7,000. Last year alone, $94,000. We're in our second match, and look what you can do here at Landmark Recreation Center. In addition to bowling. Oh, looks good. Next on ABC, Wide World, of course. Next in bowling, professional bowling at its finest. The man that won the first game, 238 to 237 over Mark Roth. Brian Voss, leading by 13. Going against left-hander Scott Devers.
Brian Voss, in his interview that we heard against when he was bowling Mark Ross, said the lanes are good early, and he proved that as he got 8 strikes in the first match, but he seemed to have lost the left-hand lane a little bit here in the second match. And what he meant early is when the oil or conditioner starts to wear off, the bowling balls wear it off, evaporation, whatever it may be, he has a little bit of problem. Let's see if he can make the adjustment right here.
Skip at the line, hoping. Swept him right off the deck to give him a double and a 23-pin lead. Now it's Devers, a spare up and shooting in the 5th frame. Capacity crowd watching here. High hit, gets them all. We asked Scott why he thought he would be a player to watch. Well, what happened?
Well, earlier this winter, I injured my back, and I was unable to bowl a few stops, and it's just to the point now where it's getting to heal a little better, so I feel like I'm throwing the ball a little better.
Man who last year won $94,268, 4,320 thus far this year. He'll top that today. And crossing over and leaving a 4.
Well, Scott Devers really struggling. He's kind of doing what I didn't expect him to do. Some people said he would struggle against some of the top players here at ABC. I don't feel that that's the situation. I don't think he's playing the lanes properly, but only he knows what's going on through that mind and body. So he's not out of the match yet. But Voss is a formidable opponent, and he has a 23-pin lead over Devers.
6th frame spare for Devers. Voss up, double working. Here are the averages for 1988. Voss in 4th.
And the top 10, you see Dave Ferraro, tournament leader, is in 9th place. And now Voss up 6 frame, 2 strikes in a row, can extend his lead to 33 with 1 more strike.
Stubborn 10.
See Voss's ball not quite get solid. The right-hand lane remaining tight, as we call it on the Professional Bowlers Tour, not hooking as much as the left. Voss didn't get the little finish he wanted in the last little bit of the lane, left the 10-pin.
In addition to winning the Trust Court PBA National Championship in Toledo, Brian this year was 4th in the popular Quaker State.
Jimmy Connors, I'm a St. Louis boy. He's a Belleville, Illinois boy. Southern Illinois. Got to root for the senior man of the the Professional Tennis Tour, Jimmy Connors. Come on, pal. Now, Brian Voss, 7th frame.
Well done. Step Jeffy Graff today on our telecast defeated Chris Evert for the title. We'll be back. Eighth frame shot of Scott Devers, leaving a 3-5. While we were away, he left a 6-pin marked with his spare in the 7th frame. Now he is faced with these 2 pins.
The 3-5 spare, once again a choppable spare, Chris. As you pointed out, he could have chopped that 4-7 in the 3rd. He did that. Hopefully he'll make the 3-5 here and stay close in the match.
Unnerved early in the match when he did chop that 4. And sometimes it stays in. Mr. Personality now, Randy Pedersen. He will meet the winner of this game. He is some kind of young man.
Acrobatic, Randy Pedersen. He uses all lanes and more. Now Voss, it's almost a commanding lead at 25, as well as he's bowling has a strike up.
Leaving a 10. Carefully working his grip, which reminds me that coming up, our tip of the week talks about the grip with Bo Burton. All right, good amount of speed. Now our tournament leader, Dave Ferraro, is up off the bench and is practicing off to the right along with Randy Pedersen.
The form sheet for Scott Devers says, I can finish strong. Well, he struggled through 8 frames. He has a possible 204 game, but PBA national champion Brian Voss, who's been red hot for the last 4 weeks, is going at a 209 pace. Voss would have to falter.
Okay. In the first match, if he just joined us over Mark Roth, 238 to 237, each with 8 strikes. And Scott Devers, who is in the number 3 position, waiting to meet Voss, the winner, had trouble here with his game. Spare up, 9th frame.
Still has a chance, but he must start striking right now.
A 6-pin. Well, he'll have to chalk up today to more experience. He's 26 years old.
I think you're right, Chris. Experience is the difference. As you see his ball drifting up a little bit high. Scott been kind of fighting off a back injury all year. Had almost a $100,000 year last year, and he'll learn by this performance against Voss. He still has an outside chance, but it's becoming more slim by the minute.
We're in our 11th week, tour of 16 cities. Next week, Milwaukee, friendly Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Devers with 3 strikes in the 10th, 11th, and 12th frame would finish with 193. He'd at least force Brian Voss to show up in the 10th.
Last week's champion, Palmer Falgren, is back keeping score for us today. And he did bowl in the True Value Open and made a few bucks over $1,000.
1040, Chris. That's a form that we're all kind of familiar with this time of year. Little paycheck cut for Palmer from $24,000 down to $1,040. Now Devers, an outside chance to win, can finish with 193. Must strike on this ball.
Looking mighty strong here at the end, but too late.
Well, if he strikes 193, that would force Brian Voss to get 5 pins on 2 shots. I can't say that I've never seen it happen, but it's only been in junior leagues, not in the Professional Bowlers Tour.
Centerville, Indiana, with a 193, 5 strikes. Sort of a Peter Sellers look-alike, a little bit.
Very nice young man. His record last year, 94,000. He'll be back. Voss just start this ball headed towards the Illinois River, and he'll go on to meet former national champion Randy Pedersen. Match is over.
Oh, we have two national champions that will go head-to-head live in our next match. We'll have the final score, but first this word from one of our sponsors. The reigning national champion Brian Voss has won his second game, this time over Scott Devers, 229 to 193. Now he goes against the 1987 national champion Randy Pedersen. That match coming up. Now for our bowling tip of the week with Nelson Burton Jr. Today he will show you how your grip will improve your bowling game. Today's Old Spice tip of the week is brought to you by Old Spice, the clean, classic scent men love.
Today's bowling tip involves the grip. And one of the most overlooked parts of the grip is what to do with the fingers that are not in the bowling ball. Simply insert your hand in the ball and spread these fingers wide. This gives you better control, allowing you to hold the ball in the palm of your hand throughout the swing, making it more controllable and the ball feel much lighter. Now, many players are dealing with the American Bowling Congress short oil rule, as indicated by this white line I have out on the lane. Lanes today are only oiled 24 feet, and many of you realize how dry and hooking these lanes are today. Now, a way to overcome this short oil, instead of spreading your fingers real wide on the ball, bring them in next to the two fingers that are in the ball. This allows you to swing the ball through the swing, then spin it much more at the release point, controlling the short oil dry lane condition. Now next week we're going to give you a tip on how to get more power out of your index finger, and even a little tip for your pinky to help you control your grip.
We're in Peoria today. Next week the $200,000 Milwaukee Championship in that fine Wisconsin city. Then to Baltimore, the Fairlanes Open, to be followed by the United States Open. Look at the prize money, $500,000, Bo.
Then up to Hartford, and then finally over to the Firestone Tournament Champion to conclude our 16 weeks of this year's Professional Bowlers Tour, and then 3 weeks in the spring. We'll be back on the end of May and 1st of June. Now, a semifinal match. Former national champion Randy Pedersen, acrobatic Randy Pedersen, tough opponent against Brian Voss. This should be a great match.
Youngest player in the field today, 25, 6'2", 165 pounds, from Santa Maria, California.
Get up, ball.
Talking to the ball. Okay. Watch him move. Moves with alacrity, I tell you.
Well, these players are bowling for lots and lots of money, and it's their job. There's also some psychology and match play. Brian Voss carries himself with that real positive demeanor, and Randy Pedersen, a proven talent, is very acrobatic. Let's see if one player can out-psych the other one and out-bowl him.
We're all even here at Landmark Recreation Centers, owned by Ray Becker and operated by his daughter Cindy and her husband Doug Holmes. And what a job they do.
Yes, they do, Chris. As you see the second arrow trajectory by Brian Voss, 1, 3, 5, and 9 pins. The ball hits 4 pins. The other 6 pins are put to rest by the action of the bowling pin and those 4 pins. Now Voss up on the lane he had a little bit of trouble with in the second match. Let's see what happens here in the semifinal.
Continuing that consistency, they got him 2 wins. 238 in his first match against Roth's 237, and then over Scott Devers 229 to 193. Okay, here's another look at Randy Pedersen. Watch him. He is really an interesting young man. Pin.
A little bit high, but not a bad start for Randy Pedersen. There's a lot of frames in a match as you see his 5-step delivery, determined look on his face, that real high arm swing that many of the young players use, and that's really a good way to overcome the urethane lane surfaces we bowl on today. Tremendous slide using that athletic ability. The high follow through generates tremendous power.
Thus far today in the $150,000 purse, a lot of money going to those that are not on our telecast, of course. Mark Roth earned $6,000. Scott Devers, 7. Loser of this match, $8,500. But the winner goes on in the final against Dave Ferraro. Chance to win 27.
This young man, Randy Pedersen, started the junior leagues at age 8. He said the first year he averaged 93. Obviously has made some improvements since then. His dad was a 185 average bowler and a left-hander, as you see the grip of Randy Pedersen. Spread index finger, tucked pinky.
All right. Now, Voss is back up. He opened with a double. He had 8 strikes in both of his winning matches. Third frame for him here in the semifinal.
Voss, fingertip grip, spreads the index finger, tightens the ring, the little finger around the ball, is really looking sharp this year.
Three-bagger.
Yeah, it's a long race, Chris, and the women have done quite well in that Iditarod. It'll be interesting to see how well they do this year.
Women always do well. And then men's World Cup skiing. It's for the overall title, final competition of the year on that circuit, plus a Brian Boitano interview. Well, our chance in this game to give away a $200,000 check has ended right there, leaving a 7-pin in the 4th frame.
Voss quickly up. Watch the action of the ball. As you usually see it drive through and knock the 5 out, but this time the ball deflects when it hits the 1-3. Now look at that ball. See the ball going to the right? What we talk about the pro move is when a player gets the wrist behind the ball and it drives through that zone. Voss didn't catch it all that time. As we're through 4 frames, Brian Voss leads by 19. We'll be back.
Here is a longtime friend, Ed Langto, merchandising manager, True Value Hardware Stores. Toy shops, I call them. It's fun to visit and buy, isn't it?
Well, we spent a lot of springtime in the hardware stores fixing up our home, as sure a lot of other people do. And
imagine the Iditarod sled dog race coming up on Wide World of Sports. Imagine that equipment, the beating that a sled itself takes over that 10 or 11-day period to go over 1,000 miles.
Preparation is the key to Iditarod race, and the preparation of Randy Pedersen right here as he trails by 19 pins. Needs a double to close the match up with Brian Voss. Oh, yeah.
Well, he'll start talking now to that bowling ball a little bit more.
Well, I have bowled well all year. I've only missed cashing in 2 events, and I just, I felt like I was throwing the ball as good as I can throw it, but I'm not knocking anything down. So through the suggestion of Bill Hall, I went to finger grips this week, and it changed my roll just enough, and I think it's the ticket. I think it's what I've been looking for.
All right.
Bill Hall, one of the player services people that works and helps drill bowling balls for the bowlers out here, and the finger grips are inserts in the finger holes that give you a little better grip on the ball. It's really helping him now. He can take the lead.
He didn't talk to that one. Not as loudly as he did on that strike shot in the previous frame, but he leaves the 7-pin as Dave Ferraro, the tournament leader, continues to practice and warm up. Watch his reaction, though.
He knows it's in that light zone. He likes that with his power. Come on, 5-pin, take out that 7. Spare here, and he would trail by 10.
Now back to Brian Voss. Voss leading by 10, a spare up shooting in the 5th frame. This is our next to last head-to-head match. Championship game coming up. .99 to the 4th, the strike up for Voss in the 5th.
The shot that the players love when they can strike light. Watch the action of the head pin. It'll go to the sideboard and take out the 4, 5, and 7 pins. A key shot for pro bowlers. You watch Palmer Falgren last week win the King Louis in the 10th frame with this shot. Good safe shot. Tremendous pin action. That's the shot that if a player can carry, he can shoot some big scores, as Voss has done so far today.
Applying the pressure with that double, Brian Voss.
Voss just playing the championship pair so well, Chris. He's made the adjustment on the left lane. He struggled a little bit in the second match he bowled. Made an adjustment about 4 boards left on the approach, trusting the ball to right. And he has been around the pocket every shot, keeping the pressure on his opponents.
Hang on.
Leaving the 10 pin, and further frustration for the 25-year-old from Santa Maria, California.
42-game format this week. He started right near the middle of the pack, 26th, moved up to 7th in the qualifying, then in the 24 match game finals, 13th, 5th, qualifying 2nd. Has to close down 21 pin difference between he and Voss if he's going to stay in 2nd place.
Winner to go on to the championship match for $27,000. Could Randy be a stand-up comedian, Bo?
He's very entertaining in the locker room. He has a very quick mind, very quick-witted mind, and just a wonderful personality. And he likes to go out to some of the nightclubs or comedy places in his area and kind of fill in, so to speak. And he's just a pleasure to be around.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful stroke by Randy Pedersen in the 7th frame, but he continues to trail the leader, Brian Voss. More action here other than bowling at Landmark. Shot of the ball returns here at Landmark along with part of the crowd. We say a capacity crowd. Well, bowling establishments, you can't get huge crowds, but 600 or 700, that's up. It's too bad we don't have room for more spectators, but we're glad you joined us on television. Double up for Voss, shooting in the 7th. Three in a row.
Voss just so sharp. That win at the national championship just perked him up, and he just looks so good as you look at our tournament leader. Here is a man that has contended with Voss many times. These two players, the last 5 times that David Ferraro has made the championship round, he has been in that round with this man right here, Voss, who has a chance to open a commanding lead against 1987 national champion Randy Pedersen. 8th frame.
Finished 4th behind this man who won the championship in Toledo. He opened with 3, a spare. Now he's strung 4, increasing his lead to 41.
Should be exciting.
His opponent, Mats Wilander.
Now, must situation for Randy. Bang.
Crushing shot for Pedersen. He's taking a close look at the pin setup on the left lane. Doesn't ask for a re-rack. Carefully wipes off the bottom of his bowling shoes.
Good point, Chris. You don't want to slip or stick at this crucial point in the match. Just good pre-shot preparation for Randy Pedersen. Needs this strike to cut the lead of Voss down to just 21. 9th frame.
Young man that has 3 titles to his credit, the AC Delco, PBA National, and the Fairlanes Open. In fact, last year won the PBA National and then went on to win the Fairlanes. Tough competitor.
These two players are bowling as well as any 2 players I've seen all year long. They're waiting for their swings. They're disciplined. They're not paying any attention to the pressure. They're just giving every shot the best they can give in a relaxed manner. That's hard to do in a championship round.
Take a string at 4. His body at the line, imitating the wobbly 4.
Well, Voss could have just about captured the match and locked it up, but what happened? The 2-pin goes the side bit forward. It rocks against the 4-pin, but it doesn't take it out, and this leaves a situation where we could have a tie match once again. Pedersen a possible 248, Voss going at a 248 pace. Actually, advantage even here. No advantage, even though there's 20 pins to the good of Brian Voss. He's on the tougher of the 2 lanes, and under the pressure, let's see if he can make that nice, loose, relaxed shot to the right and avoid the high hit.
Remember, he's won our first 2 matches here today. Leaving the 4-8.
Psychology of match play. Randy Pedersen, the higher of the 2 finishers in the tournament. He finished second after 42 games. He decided to have Brian Voss finish on the left-hand lane. So far, it has worked out for Randy, but he still has to perform to win the match. He has a chance to strike out and win. Let's see if Voss can finish in the 240s.
Brian Voss, as we just joined us, defeated Mark Roth by 1 pin, 238-237. Then Scott Devers, 229 to 193. And what appeared to be well in hand now has come down to a very, very close match.
Voss with a strike would be 246. He cannot shut out Pedersen. Pedersen still has a chance at 248.
Oh, what a break. The 10-pin dropping at the last moment. 245. What averages today for Brian Voss?
Voss just kind of floats it out. It's really not that important to strike this last ball. He leaves what looks like it's going to be an 8-10 split. The 6 just love taps the 10 out. A finish of 245 for Brian Voss. And the situation for the 1987 national champion Randy Pedersen as he steps up on the approach. He must strike on the next 2 balls and get 8 pins. Anything less, Voss will be the winner.
The 3, the 6, the 10. And so, tough break for Pedersen. Brian Voss will be in the final against Ferraro. Thank you very much. Our semifinal, yes, it was won by Brian Voss. 3 in a row now, 245, 225.
And it was a field of 160 players. Average field of everybody, 209. That's great. 218 to make the top 24. 211 to cash 53rd place. Gil Sliker and Earl Zeman. As you see some of the other players in the top 24. Steve Cook, a pair of 300 games. Tony Morisi had another 300. Dave Houston, U.S. Open champion. Don Sylvia doing well. Pete McCordick, a true value 300 player. Steve Jaros, Deadeye. Malacosta, the taco man. I love him. What a great player. The president, Schlegel in there. James Miller, colorful Guppy. Truth, the fireball, Ringer. Jim Pensek, Todd A.G., and McClurkin round out the top 24. Chris, we're ready for the final match. 2 really tough players.
They finished their practice balls now. Dave Ferraro, the tournament leader. 42 games coming in here. He had only 1 game. To show you how good they are, only 1 game under 200. That was his first match play game. He shot a 193. They're incredible, these pros.
That is one of the best records I've seen in a long time. Only 1 game under. He's not eligible for the Firestone either, so he needs a win.
A little high, 4-pin for Dave Ferraro of Kingston, New York. He has 2 titles, both in the state of Ohio and Columbus in '86 and Cleveland in '87.
And in that Cleveland tournament, Chris, as you see the second arrow angle of Brian Voss. I'm sorry, that's David Ferraro. That's on a warm-up ball because that is a 4-pin right there.
All right. Tournament leader is marked with a spare going against Brian Voss, who has had 3 victories in as many games today. A total of 23 strikes. 7 strikes in his last victory over popular Randy Pedersen, 245, 225. But this now is the championship game, his first shot.
Last time these two players met in the championship, Chris, as you said, was Cleveland. It was won by Dave Ferraro.
All right, 24th strike of the afternoon. Our live coverage from Ray Becker's Landmark Recreation Center. We mentioned Ray Becker. Peoria is coming back. This city on the Illinois River. It had tough economic times, but thanks to men like Ray, who put a lot of effort into the town, it's starting to boom again.
One of my favorite bowling towns. Now Voss trying for the double. Yeah.
And the national champion is on today.
Ferraro is just one of the really, really tough match game players we have on the PBA Tour. You get to the 10th frame and you're not a little bit ahead of Dave Ferraro, you have some problems. Now, second frame.
Little mixing action. Look at the wry smile on the face. Dave Ferraro.
The wall shot, we've seen it the last few weeks become a pivotal strike in the Professional Bowlers Tour here on the tighter right-hand lane, lane 38, on the championship here at Landmark. Ferraro carries it. The match would be even if he can strike here in the left lane. Third frame.
Man that knows all about harness racing. His family's been in it. He would have done it instead of bowling, but he had an allergy to hay.
That's a bad allergy if you're going to be around horses.
Mm-hmm. And now the bachelor from Tacoma, Washington, in his 4th game of the afternoon. Double up. He's done that before in his matches today. Let's see if he can extend it at the very beginning, because I still would like to give that $200,000 away.
I agree with you, Chris. He started every match very well, and here he has 3 strikes in a row. Needs 9 more for $200,000, but the most important thing for him right now is that man Dave Ferraro, his opponent. True value title at stake. 4th frame.
Jumping out to a quick 20-pin lead over Dave Ferraro in the championship match. We'll be back. Dave Ferraro, 5th frame, 3 in a row up. A 4-bagger for Ferraro, letting his opponent Brian Voss know that he is in this championship match.
Ferraro's got all the strikes going for him. He trips the 4-pin with the 2-pin. It goes to the sideboard, takes out the 4. And in the 4th frame while we were away, he carried the wall shot. He has all the shots going, but he is not ahead of Brian Voss. Both players have 4 strikes in a row. Voss from the very first frame. He's still in the hunt for the $200,000 true value bonus.
That'll make it 5 in a row for Brian Voss, Tacoma, Washington. The fans are beginning now to come to life.
Interesting what Voss said in his interview earlier, that he really is thinking about the $200,000, and that's when you're on a hot streak. He made more than $100,000 in the first 3 weeks of March, so he's thinking of big figures, and right now he's really not thinking of Ferraro. He's saying 7 more strikes, 200 grand. That's a nice mental attitude to be bowling on the Professional Bowlers Tour with.
There. 6 in a row at Landmark in Peoria. Brian Voss. He just joined us. He's won 3 matches.
Just a great shot, drills all the pins. And you know what? He has a chance now because he's not finessing that left-hand lane. And it's tough to throw a lot of strikes when you're finessing and he's just attacking. But Dave Ferraro's saying, hey, you know, I want that $27,000 first. Here I come.
And Dave now has 5 in a row, but he did open with a spare. What a final match here at Landmark. And we say 200. Usually it would be 100, but this is a True Value Open, and True Value is one of our very valued sponsors. Because it is their championship here at Landmark, they double the ante should a player be able to get 12 in a row.
Not a bad paycheck. Would be very exciting. Dave Ferraro, used to being in high-scoring matches. He lost the highest score match on television. He lost to Mark Baker, 279 to 278. So he'd like to change that around. He's there.
He now has a 6-bagger of his own. Tremendous competitor from Kingston, New York.
Has a 5-month-old baby sitting back in the crowd rooting for Daddy. Daddy, I'm sure, is thinking of that. And Brian Voss, the bachelor, going against the married guy. I almost got to believe that Voss is at a disadvantage when you're going against a guy hungry for his children.
7 in a row, 5 to go.
Brian Voss, who learned to bowl in the military. His father was a career Army man, owned a bowling center in Alaska, bowling against another man who was in the bowling business and horse business. The Ferraro family owns 2 bowling centers in the Kingston, New York area.
That's an awesome sight, isn't it? Should he get 5 more?
This
April
is the
15th coming up.
This is the key shot. The difficult lane for Voss, the 8th frame. He's thinking about the 300, but he has to close it a little bit closer with this shot.
So the string ends at 7, and it is a 7-pin that stopped him.
Now he looks up at the scoreboard and says, what's happening in the match? He knew if he rolled a 300, he couldn't lose, but now he looks up the scoreboard. He says, hey, I can bowl 279 and not even get a smell. Dave Ferraro has a possible 290.
All right. Because Dave opened with a spare and then strung him through the 7th frame. And he is back up now. There's Ray Becker with the red tie.
Now the man who once took a junior basketball tournament tip-off and scored in the wrong basket comes up on the proper lane. 8th frame, he can take the lead.
And it's a 10-pin for Dave Ferraro, 28-year-old husband of Gloria.
Gloria studying that scoreboard, thinking money, money, money. It's a Tournament of Champions. As you look at the profile of Dave Ferraro, that upright style, long slide, and leaves the 10-pin, then converts it. If Dave Ferraro would win this championship match, he would knock Art Trask, a 4-time winner, out of the Firestone Tournament of Champions, the 3rd jewel in bowling's Triple Crown. 3 weeks from now, the first prize in the U.S. Open, the 2nd jewel of the Triple Crown, will be $100,000. A lot of money at stake in these last 5 weeks of the Professional Bowlers Tour.
On the left lane now, big nights.
No.
Came up very high, and the result is a 6, 7, 10. Heard him say, oh no.
Well, he's got to go for it right now. Dave Ferraro must get the ball over in the right-hand part of the lane, slide that 6-pin over into the 7, keep some pressure on Brian Voss. It's a must shot.
All-out effort, failing. 214 for Ferraro through 9 frames, going against Brian Voss, who opened end with 7 in a row, marked with a spare in the 8th. Now he'll be shooting in the 9th. Looking at that overhead score. $27 to the winner, $14,000 to the runner-up. Coming into this game, he had 23 strikes and 3 victories. Now he has 8 in this match.
He's going to be the first 2-time winner on the 1988 PBA Tour. Brian Voss just asserting himself in his last 2 championship round of performances. Just took the field in 56 games at Ducat's Imperial Lanes for the national championship. And then here he just walked right through 4 opponents, defeating Roth in a very tight match, then keeping the pressure on everyone else. Has a possible 279 and a true value victory.
That's amazing. 7 in a row, spare. He's doubled now. Brian Voss. What a champion. Everybody loves a winner, especially Brian Voss. Mr. Strike, and a bachelor to boot. Ed Langto is here with a check for 27 and a True Value trophy.
Thanks, Chris. On the behalf of True Value hardware stores throughout the country, we're happy to present him the check, and also along with this plaque for his efforts today in winning a True Value tournament.
You had him worried. You almost got 200,000.
I was definitely thinking about it. It's a little scary.
Congratulations, champ. We're running out of time. Okay, coming up next, ABC's Wide World of Sports, presenting the endurance event where the dogs lead the charge. It's the Iditarod Trail Sled Dog Race, plus World Cup skiing for the overall title. And tomorrow, tennis coverage continues when Shearson Lehman Hutton presents the Lipton International Players Tournament Championship. Also in Wide World today, the newly crowned world champion Brian Baitono interview from Budapest. So we're in Peoria, friendly Peoria, as this has been a presentation of ABC Sports.